Okay, welcome back, guys. Welcome back to our channel. We have our guest here, a special guest, Michael Golpe from New York. He is one of OG, yeah, Michael.
A bit of one, yes.
Yeah. How long have you been in crypto?
Oh, yeah, I'm okay. I'll tell you, this is a true story. Very few people believe this. Let me make sure my phone shut off here. Just likes to light up on me. What happened was, Satoshi released a white paper on Halloween 2008. And we have our Christmas, the holiday season from November into January. So I was working in retail sales, and a coworker of mine came up to me and said, "Hey, you love investing. You just got this degree in economics. And so I want to tell you about this thing called Bitcoin." And I go, "Bitcoin? What?" But I said, "Okay, I'll keep an open mind." So we went to lunch, and I got to give him credit, but his name is Brian. And Brian really tried so hard to explain Bitcoin to me, but I was brainwashed by the system, as I like to say, and I couldn't wrap my head around it. And then, like everyone else, I ended up forgetting about it. And then flash forward to 2017. So 9 years later, and that was a very long 9 years of my life, and I was in a spot where I had to put my mental energy into something, and a person came by to visit where I was working, and another gentleman and myself, we had this conversation, and the guy said to me, "I really think you should look into Bitcoin." And he was a really nice guy, so I gave him my word. I said, "You know what? I promise you I will." And I did, and I haven't looked back since. So I am really OG, but I didn't put any money into any crypto until, late 2017. And that's when I started with the mining, with my little USB miners. Yeah. So I shut them off for now because I didn't want to suck too much power. But they're really very low power, but they're really quite good.
Yeah. Wow. You've been OG since 2013. But you actually got into crypto in 2017. Is that what you say?
That's what I'm saying, sir. That's the whole story about my entrance into the crypto world.
Yeah. So what prevents you from not getting into crypto earlier? I mean, you know about crypto since 2013, right?
Short version is at first I couldn't understand it. And I was just like, okay, it's what later became called magic internet money. I was like, okay, it's computer money. What are you going to do with that? Yeah, I thought it'd be like, something like casino games or something. And, like you see, well, we have a lot of ads here for, go online. It used to be call this 900 number and press a button. And technology was different then. So I was like, it's just for gambling and stuff like that. Yeah. And then, then I stepped into it. I was like, whoa, I missed a lot here. I just forgot about it, basically.
Yeah. So when is the aha moment? I mean, like when you said that you 2017 got into crypto. And there is a bubble there and it's hard to deal with the bubble, and people say Bitcoin goes to zero and biggest scam in the story. But when did you say your aha moment that why you need to full-time crypto and went to IvanOnTech?
Well, I happened to stumble on IvanOnTech by a YouTube suggestion, and I was following another influencer who shall be nameless. And
I know. Yeah, but he's no longer update. No, maybe he's retired. I don't know.
I think he stepped away for a bit. I saw he put a video up, and he had this classic hello. I was like, all right, for a while he seemed like a really nice guy and everything, and then, well, let's just say I got the Ivan suggestion, and I've been following Ivan ever since. And as you know, I was, for a brief period of time, a mod on his channel. and towards the end, and of Good Morning Crypto, I should say, and yeah, but what you call it? What was my actual aha moment? Yeah, I think I was actually struggling from approaching it from a finance perspective,
Yeah.
and because my economics background, but I said, let me try it from a technology standpoint, and then it started to click. And things started. It wasn't just one moment. It takes time. And I literally went, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I think I'm getting it now. But with crypto, you're always learning with crypto. A lot of people, when you've been in the space for a while, people come to you and they call you an expert and everything else. Don't let it get to your head. Don't have an ego, because there's always something to learn. Like, I'm just starting to wrap myself around tokenomics of like reflective coins, for example. How's it tie in with gaming? What's the real story with what's going on with yield farming? So there's, how's it all have to play with each other? So it's a full-time job that a lot of people only have time to do part-time. But do your best and see how far you get. Really, that's what I say.
Yeah. That's the time when you met IvanOnTech, right? I mean, like when you start learning something new, and then you find IvanOnTech as a suggestion. So that's the very first time you met IvanOnTech, right?
Yeah. With the certifications, I kind of bit off more than I could chew. I earned the first certification, and you had reminded me with the post, because at first, I thought I was going to get into finance and do it on my own. This was before I rediscovered crypto. I had wanted to set up a hedge fund. I didn't do it. I didn't. It was just insane. Traditional finance is insane when it comes to stuff like that. And but basically, I was finding myself at a spot where I'm like, okay, I could do this. So I earned the first certification, but I needed to know more before I really got into the full stack developer. And I'll tell the truth, I'll just come out with it. I do have a learning disability that if I really am studying very hard, it gets worse. So I have to do things so slowly. And I kind of really pushed myself, because I was working. I literally had three jobs while thinking I could study to be a developer. And that was ego right there, because I needed the money. I had to pay off the bills, but I said, I know I can do it. I know I can do it, instead of just timing myself out. So I'll be revisiting everything. And as you know, Ivan has rebranded everything to Moralis. And that Moralis is amazing. I don't know if we've taken a look at it yet, but I definitely plan to get into that a lot deeper, because the way I look at it, crypto is my business, my career. This is what I'm doing. People say, what do you do? I actually say now, I'm into crypto. Yeah. And they're like, oh, it's a scam. And I'm like, okay.
Exactly. So how you handle all of this? I mean, like you said that you had three jobs and you had a family, so the time is limited for you to handle all of this.
Well, yeah. No, I was engaged. She passed away, which was something that caused me to need to put my energy elsewhere, and that was in 2017. But with the three jobs, it was just like, I'm killing myself over here. I really need to stop this. And I'm lucky, I was overworking myself, and some people pulled me aside and they were like, you really should leave. And I was like, oh, just one more month. And then I guess on my third job, my performance was dropping, and I was starting to make stupid mistakes. And I was just like, you know what, I can't do this, not in the field that I do. And I do security work also. That's the other avenue. That's what I call the bread money. Crypto, crypto's the future. Pardon me. Crypto's the future, but right now I need the bread. So yeah. So yeah, short of it is finding time is difficult, but it all comes down to saying, okay, what's my priority? What do I really, really want? Where do I see myself in 5 to 10 years? Now that I'm dating again, I'm like, okay, let's say I do get married and, whatever the case may be, that's at least one more mouth to feed, so to speak. Don't get upset, people. But there's a whole bunch of responsibilities involved. And being in New York, to be in crypto in New York is so difficult, extremely difficult. But I'm not talking about New York City. I mean the state as a whole. You got the bit license law, and anyone can look that up and see where the sponsor of that law is now. You can fill in the blanks on that. But and there's so many laws after that where the laws, regulations, rules, guidelines, as they say. It's impossible. So I know I'm going to have to move. It's just too much, bro. Too much. But you got to have the time. You got to be dedicated to it. It's like anything else. But you know what? This ties into a good thing. Don't expect to make money overnight.
Exactly.
You get these people with these dog meme coins. I'm like, come on, dude. I'm like, really? Come on. I'm sorry. I was just going to talk trash. Like a billionaire is going to tell you how to make money. Really? Come on.
People just blindly followed some influencers, so it's not a wise thing to do because they don't do the research. So I understand your point of view. So what's your advice for the people who want to switching career, because you have economics background and right now you want to learn something new, right, in blockchain programming. So do you have any advice for maybe someone out there?
From my experience, I would say don't bite off more than you can chew. Take your time. Definitely look at Ivan's courses, Moralis. You can, if you're really, and let me build on that and say, be blockchain agnostic. Don't think, this particular chain is better than the other chain. Pretty much every chain has its own unique use case. So don't get caught up in that. That's for kids. As an adult, you have to sit down there and think, what would I use this for? So basically, I always say to people, when everyone else is playing checkers, you play chess. Think it out. Give yourself a realistic timeline. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Be aware of your responsibilities and say, make sacrifices. People are like, oh, don't say make sacrifices. No. Make sacrifices. If I see around here so much, people rush home to watch their favorite TV show. What is that going to do for you? It does nothing for you. Give up certain things. Give up TV. Don't give up family time. If you're married with kids or even just married or in a serious relationship, don't give that up, but speak with your partner, speak with your family members, get their support. And an advantage of having their support is there are going to be times when you're going to feel so challenged, and then your little kid will come up to you, maybe just tap you on the lap and say, I'm proud of you, daddy, mommy. Or your in-laws will say, well, how's that going for you? And you don't want to hear any talk from your in-laws. So it gives you a little motivation there. But I would just say time management, self-awareness. Don't let your ego get in, and be as realistic as possible and be ready to sacrifice certain things.
Yes, because even though some people are a lot of younger than you, they still complain and still mourning about the situation. They have no time, and I think it's all about priority, So
Right.
since you mentioned Moralis and you has been the what is called with VUF in the chat has been admin. Can you tell a little bit more about the difference IvanOnTech Academy with Moralis, because there is a rebrand new company, right?
I really can't, because that's where I was slacking, in all honesty, and I'm trying to get back into it. And I've redone my time management. So I am planning on getting back into the whole academy, just to group it all together as one thing, call it the academy, because that's what we all signed up for, the IvanOnTech Academy. I do plan to get back into it, but from what I've seen, Moralis is more of like a one-on-one individual tutoring for smaller chunks of what you need. And I really like that perspective that he's bringing to it. He and the entire team are bringing to it, because it's, if you're at something where you're just not getting it, you might be able to find something on Moralis that'll help you out. Or you can look up online, maybe even what's that, WJS3 schools, I believe. You can get different things, but what I like about, from what I've seen about Moralis, is it's focused on that one little thing. It's like taking a chapter in a book and expanding it. It's this way you really get the chapter. And I like that. So I really got to throw myself back into that. But right now, it's just been, I've been consuming my time with understanding the current changes within the crypto ecosystem. Like these growth and reflective coins, I find that very interesting and a natural progression, I believe, in the whole, to me, in my opinion, staking mechanism. Because we went from proof of work to proof of stake, and staking went to yield farming. And depending how you look at it, you could find reflective coins to be an outgrowth of that. Instead of, like, to use an example, the one coin Reflecto that was at least very popular, it might still be popular. It pays you dividends, what we call dividends in traditional world, in 3 different cryptos. That interests me immensely, because from there you could decide, well, do I like these? Can I take these earnings and transition them into something else that I like? Can I develop a revenue stream? And that's very similar to yield farming. So, and that's just one example. We have a lot of new gaming tokens that are coming out. My goodness, the gaming tokens that are coming out are phenomenal. You have the very popular Meta Hero. You have Altoro. You have Nobility tied in with the Noble. That's more for all you, as you guys call it football, we call it soccer fans out there. And then there's a few other ones. I just, their names don't come to my head, but I'm looking at, I'm more of a macro guy. I try to catch the overall flow of where things are heading, and then try to make my picks from there. And then sometimes those picks are more short term, some are more medium term. Like a friend of mine, he's wonderful at swing trading. And, it's that old saying, I think Da Vinci was the first to say it. Da Vinci J15, for those that don't know. He goes, don't fall in love with the coin, with the token. Don't fall in love with it. I love that line. That's so true. And my friend, he will not fall in love with anything. He will trade it the moment it's perfect to trade it, or even close to perfect. He'll trade that right out. So as I tell him, I always say, how long is my hold going to be? Is it going to be short, medium, long? And then decide what, I always tell him, decide what works best for you. And he made some very interesting choices that I was like, all right, let me see if that's going to work. And he was right. They worked so well. I was like, well, good for you. He's been able to afford trips and everything else. And I'm like, whoa, wow, you're really good at that aspect. But oh, and another thing to get off of the POS coins and tokens. Another interesting development that I've been following has been Stacks. Stacks, which is building on Bitcoin itself, not a wrapped, not a wrapped derivative. The actual Bitcoin itself. I'm like, whoa, I love this. Now, to me, I want to see how they're really applying this. I mean, for everything I've seen, they have some yield farming on there with Arcadico. You can, if you have a sufficient amount of Bitcoin, you might be able to make some profit with the two main pools. You got Plan Better and the other one, Freeger. Their wallets, they have the Hero wallet that they use. I think I see it as a growing ecosystem. So even if the trading market has a few hiccups, the technology on it is not stopping. Moore's Law is really active. And it's not just Moore's Law in the sense of a circuit that doubles in size. What is that? Doubles every 2 years is Moore's Law or something like that? It's just the application of the technology is growing so exponentially that I see opportunity for, I would say, into the spring, in my opinion. And of course, by coincidence, and Digital Asset News talks about this, he really nailed it. That matches exactly with the Fed's timeline. I'm like, oh my goodness. So there's a lot going on. You got, and I always, I've been a bit harsh on what I call the Lambo boys, because everyone wants to make money, right? Everyone wants to live in a nice house. We want a nice car. We want good food for our families, etc. But, where I took issue with was saying, "Oh, we're gonna have a Lambo." Don't get me wrong, a Lamborghini is a great car, so is Ferrari, Maserati, and everything else. But you don't really need that. Don't get greedy. It's like Darko says on Crypto tonight. It's okay to be greedy, just not too greedy. But I think that what they did, they created a bridge between Bitcoin specifically and traditional finance that, to me, it makes me very uncomfortable, because honestly, if traditional finance does collapse, which is definitely at least plausible, I would say probable, it's going to drag down Bitcoin. Not 100%. Bitcoin will always survive because of diehard people, and like me building my little mining system from scratch over there. Still got to run it, folks. Bitcoin, we stubborn people like me will not allow Bitcoin to die as best we can, So, Bitcoin will survive, but it will drag down the investments. And this is sad, not just the investments, but the hopes, the dreams of millions of people around the planet that are stuck in cryptos that are not as strong as Bitcoin. And that is a big problem. And to me, that's the repercussions of the actions of other people, because they were getting greedy. They got too greedy. They really sought out the attention of Wall Street, and what do they call that, some Fleet Street or whatever in London. They just brought them in. They're like, oh, come in. Eventually they're going to come in if you drag them hard enough. And now look what we got. It's, in my opinion, too much volatility. I know volatility can be a good thing, but to me, I'm just not comfortable with some of the volatility going on. But I'm sorry. Did you want to ask me another question?
The question just the differences between IvanOnTech Academy and Moralis. There is nothing new, or just the same, or what?
Oh, I really can't answer that, honestly, because I haven't thrown myself in on depth on the two of them yet, because I've been spending so much time on other
Okay, 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 okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I don't know if he has it as separate and succinct from each other. And if he does, that's fine because that will actually help me a lot because sometimes I get stuck where other people don't get stuck in learning things. So I have to like throw extra time into it. So if that Moralis can help me get over the crux of something I'm not getting, where the wheels don't click, as we say, then I'm definitely jumping on that Moralis to try to get some help. So I anticipate myself doing both because to tie into your prior question, what would help people? Don't approach this as just like going to school. Approach this like this is your master's. This is your ultimate level work. And you really need to know this stuff. If you're going to get in this field, you have people putting their life savings in on this. So take this stuff seriously. Do not accept just a passing or an above average, like what we in the States C is average, a B is above average, and an A is excellent or exceptional. Always be the A. You could settle for an A minus and learn more later, but this is people's money, livelihood, and not just theirs, generations before and generations to come. You have to take this stuff responsibly. You have to. So whatever helps, I'm throwing myself in on that.
Yes, yes, that's cool. Yeah, because you're right now involved in mining and you have technical and macro perspective about not about the technology and finance. So how did you start the mining? I mean, like when you start learning from IvanOnTech, or you doing it yourself? I mean, like autodidact or independently, or what?
Well, it was kind of independent. I still follow Cursed Mining, and he has his YouTube channel, and I do believe he's on Instagram. He's from Europe. Yeah. He likes to have his quiet life, so I'm not gonna give out like all this information about him. But he's a wonderful guy, and I always thought about, could I mine Bitcoin? I had this old computer system that I had, and I would download things from the store. And one was a Bitcoin miner, and I got some, and I was like, oh, this is pretty good. And I thought I tried the Ethereum mining one, and so I downloaded it. And then they said, you don't have enough GPU power. And I was like, I was shocked. I'm like, what do you mean? Yeah. And then so that was kind of like the seed. Why can't I mine Ethereum? And from there, I was watching another YouTuber. I can't remember his name. I struggle with it. And but he was selling the very old USB miners from back in the day. Let's see, can I unplug this? I would unplug and show it to you, but a very old USB miner. And I was like, you know what? Let me look into this. And so here I am. I just gotten the hook on Bitcoin. I'm watching those influencers, and I'm starting to watch Cursed Mining. And he has just such a relaxed voice. You can actually listen to what he's saying. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try it. So I watched him. I watched Voscoin, and I was like, all right, I can do this mining. So now a couple of months go by as I try to figure out how to build my own system. And eventually I figured it out. It took me like 6 to 9 months to finally build it, to get it running. And I would safely say 5 months, and get the system up and running. And then next thing you know, the technology updates. So now these new miners are coming online. So I did that as a fluke. And I got to give a shout out, if you don't mind, to Cursed Mining, because I got stuck quite a few times with trying to make these little miners work. Oh boy. But he was always so good and helpful. His channel was smaller back then, so he had more time. And again, there's time again. But he was very kind and helpful. So I always said, you know, if I ever get in a situation where I can pay it forward and help out other people, I will. So that's part of the reason you know, when Buff approached, I think it was Buff that approached me first, and then you, about being on the show, I was like, you know what? If it helps me to help others, like others have helped me before, then fine, I'll do it. That's why. Plus, I know you. I remember you being that new guy coming in on IvanOnTech, and you know, that knowing who's who, what's what, and all the nicknames for that we all the moderators have for each other.
Yes.
I was like, I'll leave him alone. He's nice. Now I'm on your show. Look at you. You have a show and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that's you become minor, right? So yeah, I mean, like, what's your obstacle to get start mining? I mean, like, what's the difficulty you fought during the mining process?
Well, here in the U.S., we run on 110, 110, and from what I know, because we're on alternating current, not direct current, which from what I know is 220. So all the miners that you can buy online, and I spent like a month looking at those, approximately a month looking at those things. Most of them were 220s, and I was like, I can't do that. I don't have the money to put into that. If I had the money to put into that, I would buy Bitcoin. Yeah. So what I had to do, and it took a lot of work, I was like, first of all, let me learn how to build a computer. I had an idea because for years, since the 90s, I was playing with computers. And so I had an idea, you start with the motherboard, you make sure you have a power supply, you know, what's your GPU gonna be, what's the bus gonna be, you know, your CPU, all that kind of stuff. So I was like, I had the gist of it. But then I said, you know what, let me actually calculate the volts, the watts, and the amperage. And that's what I did. And that took me 6 weeks to do. Fortunately, where I was working, they were very patient with me, and they're like, okay, you need to take a little time to work on your things. So they let me work on things, which was very helpful. But a lot of it was just on my free time. I would sit there and literally old school pen on paper, write it out, design it, everything else. So, I would do the longhand formulas to calculate out exactly what I was using. And then I researched them, every piece of the system, specifically in this case, I was thinking of the motherboards as I researched those out. So basically, you have to calculate what's going to work, give yourself room to play room, statistics, basically, you know, plus or minus. And yeah, I don't want to use a potty mouth, but there's an old movie in the US, and it's a comedy movie, and it's got a lot of foul language. But let me tell you what the clean version here. The clean version, the line said a few times in the movie, how are they going to F you? Okay. So throughout the movie, they say that. How are they going to F you? And so I always had that in the back of my mind. So I was like, okay, how do these computer companies that build your computer online, how do they F you? And I realized that they always buy the cheapest parts. Everything for them is the bottom line. That's why you need a computer, every 2 to 3 years. So what you got to do, for example, the power supply, you have to find a brand that is good, that is the quality that you need, that has surge protection built in, that has a reputation. What are their ratings? And then you wait for it to go on sale. That's it. And you do that for each one of the parts that you need. You source out multiple suppliers or brokers, whether it's Amazon, Alibaba, wherever you are in the world, whichever one works well for you. And you wait. You sit there and you wait for it to go on sale. You watch it every day. This is great practice for when you get into crypto. And so I did that. I waited it out. That was a huge obstacle. Then I finally built it. And when she worked, the one I'm using right now to speak with you now, I was so happy. But then I tried to use the good old fashioned CG miner. And oh my goodness, what a chore that was. And that's where Curse Mining was nice enough to come in and help me out with that. So I finally got everything coming up. Here's another thing. Always have good, not good, excellent suppliers that actually care about customer service. Like, I'm not getting paid to give anyone a shout out, and I appreciate that you're letting me give shout outs to these people. But 419 Mining here in the US, I want to say they're in Cleveland, Ohio. They have always been exceptional customer service. And, could I have gotten what I ordered from them cheaper elsewhere? Yeah, just nominally cheaper. But if I had a problem, I knew I would be okay. And because they actually care about the customer. So go where your money is appreciated. And then once you get it built up, have people that know more than you help you. Because I was over here studying and learning. I was doing all the things from the traditional sources with the learn how to do this, learn how to do that, learn this online. 9 times out of 10, it wasn't really that helpful, maybe nominally. But if you can find an excellent resource and a person that can be of good help to you, then by all means ask for help. Don't badger them. If anything, you say, hey, when you get a chance, can you lay out these? I got this problem, that problem. When you get a chance, could you get back to me? If it takes them a week, fine, because you know what? They're nice enough to help you out, and they're probably still saving you time, even though it took about a week to get back to you. So for me to build the system and everything else, it was a huge learning curve. Many steps in the operation. I had to throw myself into a lot of different things, but overall, to get it done, you just have to be dedicated. And for me, that's like being with crypto. You got to be dedicated. You got to be responsible. That's why you got to hold your own keys, people. Not your keys, not your crypto.
That's I always tell people about that. Not your keys, not your point. Yeah. So that's your difficulties in mining, right? I mean, the state level, like El Salvador, they start mining. That means that the difficulty rate is quite high, right? I mean, like for those people who want to start mining, is it too late or not?
I always say, what's your timeline? What are your goals? If it's going to be your sole source of income, then I would encourage people to get dedicated friends or family. I usually don't work with family, but that's a personal thing. People you can trust to be relatively sane and patient about this, and build your own mining farm. Because honestly, even the best run mining farms are going to have problems like Mr. Christoph, an excellent YouTube channel. Chris did a phenomenal job, and he was a big influence on me for calculating, the amperage, the watts, the volts, and what are the returns going to be. Learn about spiking in regards to your electrical uses, because they can track that. If you spike between certain hours here in the United States, they know. They're like, oh, you used it at that time, and that's a big privacy issue. And that becoming more privacy aware has been a huge development for me, specifically because of learning I was going to say how to mine, but I guess I'm a miner. I'm kind of humble about it. I haven't built a huge mining farm like Mr. Christoph did, but Mr. Christoph eventually shut down his mining farm, which totally surprised me. And he sent he made his money, don't get me wrong, and he sold his equipment to people, I want to say in Ecuador or Venezuela. So right now, those very miners are somewhere in South America mining and hopefully getting people out of poverty. But what I would tell people is, and this would be for anybody, no matter what the situation, make it scalable for you. And I understand desperate times, you got to make the payments, you got to have money, you got to have food on the table and everything. I would say if your situation is like that, where your kids are hungry and you need gas for your vehicles, if you're a farmer and you got to fill up your tractor, or you got to pay your workers or work in your fields, I would say cut out. If you have any extra time, do not dedicate it to anything else but learning how to mine. And look up Mr. Kristoff's old videos. I would suggest his YouTube channel is still up there. And understand what's involved, because when you're on DC current, it's different than AC. And usually here in the States, they will convert AC back to DC current. So now you're working in the 220 realm, and I'm really not experienced with 220 that well, but yeah, shouldn't make much of a difference, I don't think, but I would hate to say anything wrong. But yeah, learn who your friends are, learn the requirements of mining, learn about humidity, learn how to repair your miners on your own. Even if you only have a butter knife, learn how to fix your miners with a butter knife if you have to, whatever it takes. But yeah, learn how to do it and just be prepared. It's going to take a while to start to get returns. So the least amount of investors you have, that's the least amount, lesser amount of people that you have to pay. Now you're going to have a certain upfront costs, which are going to affect everything. So you're going to have to pay out a certain amount of money. Don't think you're going to be rich. Try to get the lowest payout to your investors as you can. And I would say just learn as much as you can about all the different mining that you can do. Like me, when I started this, I gave myself approximately 10 years to do it. So I figured 2027, I'll have whatever amount of Bitcoin I have. My miners will be worn out by then. So the rate I'm going, I'll have 1 and change on the Bitcoin of Bitcoin, 1+ Bitcoin. But I calculate out that the value over time will increase. So like basically it's sort of like a retirement plan in a way, that I'm taking responsibility for my future. And I'm trying to give myself something that I can bank on. If I can lend it back to myself from one of the lending protocols out there, vays, sushi, what have you, and make sure to clear out all my old debts. And yeah, that's the perspective that I'm working from. So I hope that helps somebody. I don't know.
Yes, exactly. So it depends on the situation, right? When you start mining, so that's a good point. So yeah, I will ask. Yeah, when you say that, Bitcoin mining is still, it's adoption phase because it's getting hard and hard, right, to start mining. And then, I mean, when it comes to electricity, you doing it in your apartment yourself, or you start your own company, such as like Compass Mining or what is called Bitmain.
No, I have my own miners. I don't mine from a node. That would be, although I did try to. It's just way too much computing power that I could afford. So yes. So I mine in my apartment on a 110. I use my USB miners, my good old USB miners, but this is where more time on the upfront pays off, because I researched everything I could about the way I looked at it was from the plug to the miner. So the power unit, the power supply, what's the best one I could get? What has surge protection? What prevents excessive draw? What, like the maximum I have on this is 500 watts. and then I feed up to the motherboard. Well, now what's the best motherboard that I can do? And again, 6 weeks of really hard, diligent work on this, and until I had the base of what I wanted. I couldn't afford the CPU I wanted at the time. So I ended up with the CPU I have, but it turns out to be a workhorse. So that was a blessing in disguise, as we say. So yeah, parse every single vault you can. And what I mean by that is, if you only need, for example, 3 volts, don't do 3.2. Get that down to 3. All that, just an example again, because that all builds up. So now that you have a system built to have as low voltage and wattage as you possibly can, now you have to make sure that you don't have excessive draw. I want to say phasing, but I don't think that's the right word. Basically, peaks and valleys in your electrical service. And that's where I learned a lot from Mr. Kristoff on this. You have to have, I'm trying to think, there's an actual term for it. It's spike. Look for something, I think it says spike resistance, to prevent spiking, as it's called. Yeah, spiking is the word, where you spike your demand. If you can keep that level, then your electric company, at least here in the States, I believe all of them say, all right, since you don't spike, we're not going to charge you too much. But if you're a person who spikes, we're going to have a tendency to charge you higher than others, and we're going to charge you higher when you spike up. And now there's a privacy concern tied with that. If you don't mind me talking about privacy there for a second, because to me, privacy and crypto are important. Is that all right if I bring up something real quick?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. Now, here in the States, they have chips everywhere. Your water, it's not really, you might have a water meter, but that water meter is on a computer chip. It reports to the water company. And what happens when you wake up in the morning? When you wake up in the morning, you turn on water. You're in the shower, you're in the bathroom, or whatever. You're in your kitchen making your breakfast, beverage. They know when you're drawing water. So if you're up at like 6 o'clock at your time, they'll be like, oh, yeah, he's up again. He must be getting ready for work as usual. So now they know when you're up. If you don't plan for spiking, now they know when you're mining. Now, if you have enough information gathered together, you know when a particular nation is mining more than other nations. So if you're someone, and this is where I'm going to sound like a big conspiracy theorist, and that's fine, I don't care, because pretty much I pretty much am. They'll say, hey, that country is mining so much that it's affecting our profits. Let's take them offline a little bit. Very easy to do. You just tap on the computer and you take their electricity offline for an hour or so.
Yeah.
You just affected the Bitcoin price. And people are like, oh, that's crazy. Well, you know what? I don't want the man, as we call it here, to know when I wake up, when I use my computer, when I go to the bathroom. That's none of their business. If I got to pay for a certain amount of water, I'll pay for that amount of water. That's fine. I'll pay for my fair share because I used it. But I'm not going to give you all my information out there. Heavens no. No. You got to protect yourself out there. This is crypto.
No one can save you. Yeah, in crypto is you doing yourself. Yeah,
exactly. We got to protect yourself at all times.
Yes,
all times.
Yeah, that's the true free market. When you, this is the hard part, when it comes to mining, because the competition is quite high, the hash rate is quite high, getting higher and higher, and then when it comes to electricity, when you start on yourself from scratch in an apartment in particular, it's kind of hard, right? I mean, what's the I know maybe is when it comes to confidential, you don't want to share because in the New York regulation, I can understand that. But from your standpoint, what's the part of electricity that you see in the mining. I mean, like it is high cost or not, because sometimes the electricity is the hardest part with mining deal with.
And you're absolutely right. Electricity is the hardest part. It is the biggest cost. And New York State, that I live in, New York State, is one of the highest electrical states, electrical costs. And I have the great pleasure, being facetious, of living within the domain of what is called Con Edison, the utility Con Edison, a private company in contract, and it's always been in contract since, gosh, at least 100 years. And they have some of the highest rates. And yeah, it's very difficult. Do you make much of a return? No. You're basically, if you're smart and you stay as prudent as possible, again, watching the volts, watching the wattage, making sure you know, when you start up your computer, you go into your BIOS, you look and see, you know, what's my voltage look like? You know, is there something going on where I'm leaking volts somewhere? Well, I need to have to buy a new motherboard. You know, is my motherboard getting worn out? You know, have I updated my whatever my bus is? I just was reading about 250s being upgradable to 300s. Yeah, through some method, I'm not sure. But you have to look at all those things. You have to look at your consumption. And here's the whole point. You could get it to be a 1-for-1, where you are consuming, well, as close to a 1-to-1 as you could really get. Like, you could be mining at a loss right now in the sense of your immediate returns. But that's why, if you get a nice price rise, you could consider selling off. But here's the other thing. The advantage of mining into a pool is that the pool will hold it for you until you reach a certain threshold. This is very important. If a person is going to mine and sell those returns, they have to be extremely careful of any tax considerations. And I will tell everyone right away, do not cheat on your taxes. I tell people, don't pay a penny more, but don't pay a penny less either. Pay your fair share of taxes. Do not lie. Do not try to cheat the government. But the whole point is, for me, what works best is, as you mine, you leave it with the pool. Now, that's kind of scary. That's like leaving your Bitcoin on an exchange, someone told me, and I totally get that. So that's why you have to, it's a risk, and everything with mining is a risk. So you have to find a reputable pool. And for me, I'm very comfortable with Slush Pool, the original first Bitcoin mining pool, Slush Pool. And I'm extremely comfortable with them. I find them to be trustworthy and helpful. If you do a USB mining thing, they are more than happy to work with you to make sure your miners work maximum capacity without too much of a draw, depending on your settings and CG miner and all that. So have a good pool. Be mindful of when you're taking money out. Because if you live, like, heaven forbid, you live in California. I heard California is worse than even New York is, if you can imagine that. So the taxes are insane. So for day-to-day living, would I recommend Bitcoin mining? Not for day-to-day living. Exactly. There are I do believe there are other chains that could do better than that for their customers, so to speak, their users. And I got to be very careful what I say because I'm in New York here. Yeah. Do your research. Do not break the law. and learn how to protect yourself from the prying eyes of scammers and thieves. Make sure you have all your protections up, and learn about the different blockchains available in your area. How's that?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good. So yeah, that's the electricity in mining. I mean, when it comes to regulation and mining, I don't know, maybe it's confidential information you want to share or not. Because in China, as you can clearly see, that the government is not supporting Bitcoin mining, right? And miners moved, parts of the world, such as United States, for example. And the ESG movement try to shut down the Bitcoin because Bitcoin costs a lot of environment. So well, I don't know. Maybe what's the regulation in the United States? I mean, it's still in gray area, or the government have no regulation so far, or?
Well, here's a thing that most Americans don't get. In the U.S. Constitution, it says that any power not given to the federal government is reserved for the states or its citizens. So the federal government is doing a power grab, really. Now, so it's really about the states or commonwealths, like, for example, Massachusetts is a commonwealth, to regulate those matters. Now, the federal government, I lean more libertarian in my thinking, which is not too popular nowadays. But to answer that and tie in China in a way that would be safe for you to keep your channel.
Yes.
China definitely wants to boost their yuan, or renminbi, I believe it's called.
Yes.
Right, on the digital level. Bitcoin is competition. They're CBDC. They basically want everyone there to use their CBDC. And I am of the opinion that they want to influence what is used by other nations and states around their vicinity. I have heard about China moving a lot of equipment to Texas here in the US, as well as some other places. Now, I do know of a popular billionaire who likes dog coins, who has been talking about Texas for way too long. This meeting we had like a month ago with that billionaire and another billionaire who's from Russia, who invented the #2 cryptocurrency, had a meeting and decided very quickly, put together this organization very quickly. And I've been in business. I know things don't run that quickly. You have to do a lot of pre-planning. So let me tie this in with difficulty now. Difficulty, we had that brief period where mining went, their miners came offline, and that's on Bitcoin. And to give Chico Crypto credit, he talked about how everyone was looking at the Bitcoin miners, but nobody was looking at the Ethereum mining that was occurring as well. So I think we have a power play going on. Now, when it comes to what's being said in the mass media about Bitcoin not being green, in my opinion, is a bunch of hogwash, because the current traditional system uses an extremely high amount of electricity. And there have been studies that show how little Bitcoin uses in comparison to traditional finance. And on top of that, most of the energy used is either clean energy or green energy. Like you have the example of the people mining Bitcoin pulling their power from the waste that gets burnt off on the top of oil production. So I would tell people do more research, and this applies to crypto as well. Do more research. Watch who you believe on your news show. If you can, turn off the TV news.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of hogwash out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Did I answer your question? I kind of went off on a ramble there.
It's okay. It's okay. That's your point of view. We need to respect that. And then one more question.
Of course.
It's been like 1 hour already because you're already midnight right in there. So I need to
Oh no, it's fine. It's 8:55 p.m. 20:55 here.
Yeah. I mean, sorry?
I got time for you, Iman. I got time for you.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe we talk a lot in mining. So what's the end game of mining? I mean, like when every state of the world want to you say. I mean, like have you ever heard of my Kaiser say that there is a hash war? So every miner of government try to compete to get the Bitcoin as soon as possible. So yeah, is that an end game for you, in your opinion, but or not? Because that's the Bitcoin is heading right now, right?
I'll tell you what I told Ivan when I first met him here in New York. It was February. I want to say February of was it 2018? Yeah, I think February of 2018, I do believe. And he came to New York. A few of the other followers and I were there, and he went around like a roundtable thing. And I said, I think Wall Street's been mining for years and just didn't bother to tell anybody. And people just turned and looked at me. And honestly, it's not an end game. It's a has-been game. It's been going on for a very long time, I do believe. Now, will we have a system where, I respect Seller, but if you look at his history, he has made mistakes, but who hasn't made mistakes, right? That's life. But I would hazard to guess he's probably right. I could see nation states battling it out. I could see, in an extreme, I could see nation states changing into different groups based on hash rate, but that would be like an extreme dystopia viewpoint. What I think, different groups and organizations, NGOs, so to speak, have been working on mining for years. I think there are other organizations that played the price, like they played the gold price for years, and it's been to the detriment of Bitcoin and proof of work overall, because the whole idea of proof of work is that, like Satoshi said, one CPU, one vote. Unfortunately, the difficulty hash rate has shot up. So, would I turn off my miners? Probably. But I think we could reach a point, at least with Bitcoin, where we could be hashing transactions and getting paid on the transactions, not just for the blocks made. So is that within the possibility? Sure. Could I see Bitcoin evolve into that in the best case scenario? Yes, absolutely. But will I be alive to see it? Probably not. I think the last time I looked it up, I'm only going to live another 50 years. So, I don't think I'll see that point. But, I would say he's pretty much right. What's in it for me? What's in it for other people? Long-term mining in a pool, and that's probably your best bet right now, if you're going to mine at all. And we need more people to mine. So, if we could poll, if we could have more people mine at home, that would, and it takes work to do that. And I'm not talking about just in the US, not just in the Western world, everywhere. If we could have more people mine, I think that would improve the situation for Bitcoin demonstrably. And it would also there was something I noticed. There is a particular cryptocurrency. I don't want to start throwing out names because I don't want, I don't want you to get hate, or me either. But there is a particular cryptocurrency that comes to mind, and that it's mined by predominantly Iranian miners. Now, I have no problem with Iran. I've met Iranian people; they've been wonderful. But I do understand the geopolitical problems that come from that. So if we could have it where people all around the world do home mining of different proof of work cryptos, as well as some staking, because it's not an either or proposition. I suggest people do what you're comfortable with. Mine some proof of works, stake some POS, proof of stake, see if reflective cryptos work for you, stay engaged with the development of these markets, and you can end up with a portfolio that could take care of you. So I could see all this coming down the road. So sorry, I rambled again.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the end game of Bitcoin mining, right? So I understand your point of view. So last question. Because you agree that we are still in bull market, right? I mean, what's your price prediction? I know it's no financial advice. Nothing on YouTube is financial advice. But you have any target or just super cycle or what?
I think it's gonna, because in my opinion, Bitcoin is too tied to the traditional financial market. So I think that this is going to go on into the spring of 22. It's going to be a bumpy road. Probably March, April of 2022 is when the bull market will stop, or at least slow down demonstrably. Now, Bitcoin, what's Bitcoin going to do? Bitcoin is in a weird spot. It's sort of at the point of critical mass now, where it could just go sideways for years. It's theoretically possible. I tried to dust off my statistics hat from college and calculate it all out, but I'm too rusty. But honestly, I'm gonna think where I'm gonna take a chance. Okay, for you, I'm taking a chance. I normally would never do this. I think we're gonna see a bumpy road that leads to 97,000. Yeah, 97,000 in that range for Bitcoin before it comes down again, and our current high will be the new low.
Yes. Yeah, this higher low. That's Bitcoin always method.
Yeah, you wanted numbers. Yeah, you wanted numbers. So I'm going 97 for a high. How's that sound? 97.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, because history doesn't repeat, but it does run. So we have the cycles, and then the cycle tells you where the price is going, and then I understand the point of view. Maybe that's it for today. It's been an hour already, Michael. Thank you for your time. It's been an honor to be here. Maybe next time I will part 2 or at 100K. We never knows, but
honored. I would be honored. Thank you so much, because I got to give credit to our friend Vuff, who was like, and I'm like, no, I don't talk to anybody.
Okay.
So I gotta give Wolf credit. He kind of was like, come on, it's Ivan. I go, yeah, I remember it from the chat. So, but this has been great. I had a great time, and I would be honored if we would interview me again.
Yes, yeah. Because some people from IvanOnTech I interview as well. But let's see.
Yes, I saw with Darko. I was like, oh wow, that's so awesome.
With Wolf,
Wolf, yeah.
Okay, thank you, and like and subscribe to our